So whenever you're troubleshooting an air conditioner, always check first to make sure you have a clean filter. If you have a plugged filter, it's going to cause all kinds of problems. You could have a frozen coil inside, so you can open up that panel, make sure your coil's not frozen, which can be caused by various things. But in this case, the inside unit, the fan is running, the filter's clean, everything looks good inside. At the thermostat, I'm going to turn the cool air on. You can hear the thermostat click, but if you go to a vent, I just have warm air coming out. So the first thing I did, one of the first things I did, come look out here at the unit outside. You can hear the compressor running, but the fan is not turning. So that's something we look at. On the outdoor unit, the compressor was making noise. It was doing its thing. You could hear it running, but the fan was not running. So this is a pretty common problem with air conditioner units, these outdoor units where the fan won't run. But the compressor is still going. So that's good. The compressor is the expensive part. So there's a couple things to check out here. Maybe something damaged the fan. Sometimes there's an overload on those fans. There's a button you can switch and untrip them. Or maybe there's something wrong with the fan itself. So a couple things to look at. I took the fan apart and felt the shaft and everything, and it seemed like the bearings were in good shape. And when I spun it, it spins real nice and easy. It's not catching on anything. So there doesn't seem to be really anything wrong with the fan motor that I can tell so far. The next trick was to turn it on and run it, and then what you just saw me do, stick a screwdriver in there, kick start it, get it going. And this actually worked. The unit turned on and the fan started going and it started running normally, but I had to get the fan to start. So that starts pointing you towards a capacitor problem inside the unit. So we're going to open it up and check it out. Okay, before you do any work on your air conditioner, you start opening up anything, always disconnect the power. This is the very first thing you should do before you even begin to open up your outside unit. Alright, to get into the panel, locate where your power comes in. There's going to be a cover on it. Usually just a couple of screws hold this thing on. Take those off. Okay. In this case, if you trace the lines, the fan are these three lines here. You got a black, a brown, and a yellow. And you trace them up and around, and you're going to see they go into this. This is your capacitor. You're going to see a little U and a capital F on your, and that'll tell you that's your capacitor. That's microfarads. And that's a measurement of how much electricity that holds. What this does, typically you'll see these on air conditioning units. You'll see this one has two numbers, a big number and a small number. That means this is really two capacitors in one. The big number is the charge to start your fan. So in this case it takes 45 microfarads to kickstart the fan to get it going. Once the fan's going, it's got a second capacitor to keep it running at 5 microfarads. So a capacitor holds electricity, and it allows you to have a smaller, more efficient fan, and that gives it the energy it needs to get going. So since my fan runs, if I kickstart it, my guess is that that part of the capacitor is fried and is no longer working, so it doesn't have the energy it needs to get the fan running. So we're going to replace that with a new one and see if that fixes our problem. Now, one thing to be extremely careful about with capacitors is, as I said, these store electricity. So this thing could be storing electricity even if it's not functioning properly. If you touch your fingers to the top two prongs, it could discharge that electricity into you. So you need to make sure you dissipate that electricity and wear proper PPE when messing with this. So you want to take a metal object with a plastic handle and wearing plastic gloves and cross the terminals and make sure you release any energy that may be in that capacitor, because that could hit you with a jolt if you get your fingers in there. And then you can safely remove your wires. And remove your capacitor. Okay, I got a new capacitor. I just bought this off of eBay on a one-day shipment. Got it for $20, so a lot cheaper than you can get it from an HVAC store if you've got one that'll sell to the public, or maybe an electronics store. But you want to make sure that you're getting the same capacitor. So remember, this is a 45.5 microfarad, so make sure your new one is a 45.5, 370 volts, 370 volts. You just want to make sure that all the numbers agree. So make sure you're matching up the same pegs to the same peg. Back here we're going to have our brown wire, over here our blue, and our two yellows here. And it should be that simple. Alright, mounted it back up. Take our brown wire, attach it to the fan. Take our blue wire, attach it there, and our two yellows go on the common. There. And there. Alright. Now we should be able to power it up, see if it works. Of course, you want to turn power back on to it. And we'll go inside and flip it on. Alright, we're going to flip this to cool. You can hear it come on. Come out here. And the fan is spinning away. Alright. So that's how you fix your AC problem for $20 instead of calling in an AC tech and having them charge you several $100s, or tell you need a whole new outdoor unit for $1,500. With a little know-how and a screwdriver, you can save yourself a lot of money. Thanks for watching.